What's going on, guys? So by now you've probably seen and heard about the new F-150 Lightning from Ford that was just revealed today. Very, very cool truck. There are so many media outlets that are reporting on all the details because Ford really dumped a ton of details on journalists today, and you get just about all the information you're looking for. But I know people come to my channel for a very specific reason, and that's to kind of understand what the basics of the truck are and how it can really perform in terms of towing a trailer, specifically an RV. So we're going to go over some of that, and I'm going to try to go through the information that was provided to journalists so you get a better idea of what this truck is truly capable of. Now, before I get started there, I do want to talk about some of the information that has not been revealed yet, and that is things like the gross vehicle weight rating of the truck. So we don't know what the curb weight is, and we don't know what the GVWR of this specific truck are. But they did release the towing capacity as well as the payload capacity of both the standard and the extended model of these trucks. Now, the extended model is an extended range model. It's basically additional batteries. So right off the bat, let's talk about the different configurations that this truck is able to be equipped with. First of all, you can get it in a base model configuration, essentially the XL package, and the pricing is a very affordable $39,974. I don't know specifically what you're going to get in that truck in terms of like an infotainment system or a screen, but what we do know is that every configuration is four-wheel drive, and they have both a front and rear motor. It's an electric motor, both front and rear, and there is no transmission, so the power is actually dictated by the motors themselves. So it's very cool. Now, the top end model hasn't been released in terms of pricing, but the mid series, kind of the mid-priced XLT model, is going to have a $52,974 MSRP, and it's going to give you some additional features, of course, in terms of comfort and technology. Now, the actual power output of this truck is pretty crazy. So it's actually going to be faster than a Ford Raptor. They expect 0 to 60 times in the mid 4-second range, which is super cool and actually could make it slightly faster than the Ram TRX. So that is pretty cool. Now, let's talk about the things you guys care about. First of all, it's going to have a towing capacity up to 10,000 pounds, and that's going to be conventional towing capacity. If you get it with the standard battery, it's a 7,700 pound maximum towing capacity. Now, the payload capacity does change. If you opt for the standard batteries, it's going to have a 2,000 pound maximum payload capacity, and if you opt for the extended range batteries, it's going to have an 1,800 pound maximum payload capacity. So that's pretty impressive. That's actually at the very high end of what most max tow capable half-ton trucks are rated for. Now, it would be really interesting to find out specifically what the gross vehicle weight rating is on this truck and what the curb weight is, because whenever you're towing a trailer, specifically an RV or really any type of trailer, the weight of the truck can help factor into stability and control. So if you have a heavier truck, it can actually help in controlling a trailer whenever you're towing it. So that's going to be really interesting whenever they release that information. It's going to have four-wheel independent suspension as well, and it's supposed to perform pretty well and be a pretty comfortable ride. So that'll also be something that's interesting to tell if these vehicles are ever shipped out to media, so we can test drive them ourselves and actually tow some trailers. It's going to have a 12-inch instrument cluster, and it's also going to have a much larger infotainment system that's actually 15.5 inches. So that's going to utilize Sync 4A, which is going to be the newest adaptation for their e-truck. Now, if you're wondering what the power output on this truck is, for the standard range battery, the targeted peak power is 426 horsepower or 318 kilowatts. For the extended range battery, that'll be 563 horsepower and 420 kilowatts. Now for torque, the standard range battery is going to have a peak torque rating of 775 pound-feet, and the extended range battery is going to have the same 775 pound-feet worth of torque. Now, something else that's also going to be really interesting for folks with an RV, or just for folks who want something that is a little different, is the fact that it's going to be able to provide up to 9.6 kilowatts worth of backup power in the event you have an outage. So you can actually power your entire home in many cases off of this truck. But that's going to vary also based on trim. So the standard and base trim is going to have a 2.4 kilowatt power output, while the Lariat and Platinum series come with the 9.6 kilowatt output. And that's going to be with a combination of a 2.4 kilowatts up front in what they call the frunk, which is essentially a trunk up front, and 7.2 kilowatts through the outlets in the cab and the bed. Now, this is the question everyone's going to want to know the answer to. What is the range? How far can you go on a single charge? So the standard battery target range is 230 miles, whereas the extended range battery is targeting 300 miles. Now, what we don't know is how those numbers are going to be impacted by towing. So that's something that's going to be very interesting to follow, because we really need to understand if you plan on getting a truck like this and the goal is to tow a travel trailer, especially one that's going to have upwards of 1,200 pounds worth of tongue weight and be upwards of 8,000 to 10,000 pounds, what that is going to actually do to the charge of the battery, how it's going to impact the battery's overall range and performance. And that's going to be really interesting to find out. Now, part of what they talk about is how quickly this truck can charge. So they're saying that the F-150 Lightning is targeted to get up to 54 miles of range in 10 minutes and charge from 15% to 80% in about 41 minutes. So that's pretty impressive, and that can probably work out for a lot of folks so long as you have the capability of charging it where you're at. Even if you're going to be camping, if you're going to a campground that, let's say, is 120 miles away, you leave with a full charge and you get there, and if you have the ability to recharge while you're there, then it shouldn't be much of an issue heading back. So this is all information that we still want to know the answers to. And as Ford introduces these vehicles into the marketplace and there's more folks that have an opportunity to test drive them and review them, we'll be able to have a better understanding of exactly how this truck stacks up, not only to other e-vehicles, but to folks who are seriously looking at an alternative to a diesel or gas engine F-150 or half-ton truck. There's so many new EV trucks that are just being released on the market from all sorts of different brands, including brands people have never heard of before. But the reality is, for folks to trade in their current half-ton truck or a truck that they might consider getting for a truck like this, it really has to meet the needs that they're looking for. And if you plan on towing a trailer, if you plan on towing a boat, if you plan on just using it like you would use a normal truck, with the exception of how you have to charge it and how you have to keep up with that part of the truck, it's going to be really interesting to see if it meets the criteria of the average truck buyer. And that's all still to come. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.